He never spoke a single word to his daughter for 17 years. She thought he didn't care. What she didn't know was that every moment of silence was a sacrifice of love. Pause. This is the true story of a father who gave up his voice to protect his child's happiness. Daniel Miller was never the loud type. He grew up in a small Ohio town where men didn't cry and love was shown in actions, not words. He was a simple man, a mechanic by trade, a quiet thinker by nature. But everything about Daniel changed the moment he met Amelia. Amelia was Daniel's opposite, vibrant, opinionated, and radiant like a summer morning. She was the kind of woman who turned silence into music and made Daniel laugh out loud for the first time in years. They met at a roadside diner. He spilled coffee on her book, and she called him clumsy with a smile. Their love was quick and intense. Not flashy, but full of deep, real moments. Sunday pancakes, late-night dance sessions in the kitchen, handwritten notes left on the fridge. They didn't need big declarations. Just the way she looked at him, the way he fixed her bike without being asked. That was love. 2 years into their marriage, Lily was born, their only child. Amelia would say, "She has your calmness and my wild hair." Daniel just stared at the baby, afraid to even hold her too tightly. He wasn't perfect. He didn't say much, didn't always know how to comfort, but he tried. He tried hard. That was always enough for Amelia, until the day it wasn't. It was raining. Hard. Amelia had taken Lily to visit her parents 2 towns over. Daniel had stayed back, overtime at the garage. He called them 3 times that night. No answer. At 9:42 p.m., his world stopped. A truck had skidded into their lane on the highway. The impact was fatal. Lily survived with minor injuries. Amelia did not. Daniel drove to the hospital soaked and shaking. Lily was asleep in a tiny bed, a teddy bear in her arms. Beside her, a nurse handed Daniel an envelope, Amelia's handwriting. "If anything happens to me, promise me one thing. Never let her feel the pain I did as a child. Don't yell, don't punish, don't make her afraid of her father. Love her in peace. Always." Hey! After the funeral, Daniel didn't speak. Not for a day, not for a week. Doctors said it was shock, then trauma. A month passed. He still couldn't speak. The diagnosis came. Functional aphonia. His voice was gone, not because of physical damage, but because of emotional trauma. His mind had shut it down, and he didn't fight it. Maybe he didn't want to. With his world shattered and his voice gone, Daniel remembered the letter, the promise. No yelling, no fear, love in peace. So he learned how to raise Lily in silence. He learned sign language. He made flashcards. He left post-it notes everywhere. He used hugs instead of lectures. He became the father he never saw growing up. Lily turned 4. Daniel baked the cake himself. Messy and uneven, but hers. He lit the candles and clapped when she blew them out. He showed her how to write her name, how to read, how to make paper boats, all without a single word. But every night when Lily was asleep, he sat on the couch holding Amelia's last letter. Silent tears, no sound. 17 years would pass before the silence broke. The sun rose over their modest apartment in Queens. Daniel poured 2 mugs of tea each morning, one for himself, one for his daughter Emily, though she rarely drank hers. He would set it beside her cereal bowl, tap the table gently twice, and offer her a small, closed-mouth smile. She always replied with a nod. They lived in rhythm, like dancers who had long mastered the choreography of silence. He packed her lunch, walked her to school, and waited at the same corner to bring her home. They never exchanged a single word. Emily stopped asking why her father didn't speak by the time she turned 6. She didn't remember his voice,
only the way his eyes crinkled when he smiled and the firm warmth of his hand gripping hers. Daniel worked two jobs: janitor at a hospital by night, dishwasher at a diner by day. He moved through life like a ghost, quiet, unnoticed, always in the background. He never sought recognition, never socialized. He clocked in, did his work, and left. His bosses admired his reliability. Co-workers thought he was strange. "Does he even talk?" they'd whisper in break rooms. But nobody ever got close enough to know the story behind his silence. What they didn't see were the countless moments he gave to his daughter, fixing her bike with YouTube tutorials, sewing her Halloween costumes with trembling hands, and learning to braid hair at 2 a.m. the night before her first school play. By the time Emily reached high school, the silence began to feel heavier. Teenagers around her were full of noise, laughing, crying, shouting at their parents. She often envied their chaos. One night after a fight with a friend, she came home and shouted, "You know what hurts the most? It's not the world outside. It's coming home and feeling like I live with a stranger." Daniel didn't react. He merely picked up her backpack from the floor, placed it gently on the chair, and walked to his room. Later that night, Emily found a note on her door. It read only, "I'm always here, even when I can't speak." Emily grew curious as she matured. Who was her mother? What had happened? Daniel had only one photograph of her, faded, wrinkled, and kept in a locked drawer. One day when he was at work, curiosity won. She broke into the drawer and found not just the photo, but dozens of letters. None addressed, none sent. Each one was a message written from a father to his daughter, spanning years. "Emily, you had your mother's eyes today. You asked me if the moon follows us. I wanted to tell you yes. I wanted to say it so badly. I miss hearing my own voice, but I promised." Among the letters, Emily found one labeled, "The Day She Died." Her hands trembled as she read. I held her hand as she faded. She looked at me and whispered, "Promise me one thing. No matter how hard it gets, never let Emily feel our pain. Let her grow up happy. And if that means protecting her from our story, protect her, even in silence." So I stopped speaking, not because I had nothing to say, but because I had too much, and because I loved you more than I loved my own voice. Tears blurred the words on the page. Emily clutched the letters to her chest, crying into the space where her father's voice should have lived. That evening, she waited in the kitchen, the letters spread out on the table. When Daniel walked in, his eyes immediately darted to them. "I read them," she said. He froze. "You kept everything from me, all these years. Do you know how alone I felt?" He opened his mouth, then closed it. For the first time in 17 years, he made a sound, a choked, rasping breath. Emily stood shaking. "Say something, please." He tried. His mouth moved, but no words came out. Only a whisper of air, a single syllable lost in time. But in his eyes there was more than enough. Regret, love, fear. She stepped forward and hugged him tightly. "It's okay. I hear you."
It was a rainy evening when Sarah found a small wooden box in the attic, carefully tucked inside an old blanket, untouched for years. Her hands trembled as she opened it, revealing a collection of letters. Each was addressed to her, written in the same elegant cursive. Some were dated on birthdays, others on school milestones, and one had the date of her high school graduation. She read one. "Dear Sarah, today you turned 10. I saw the way your eyes sparkled when you rode your bike down the street. I wanted to scream with joy, but I smiled silently instead, keeping my promise. You won't understand yet, but I hope one day you will." Letter after letter, Sarah read about her life through her father's silent perspective. his pride, pain, and enduring love. Each word peeled back a layer of her misunderstanding. Jacob lay still in the hospital bed. The years of labor had worn his body thin, and the silence had worn his spirit even thinner. His condition was deteriorating fast. The doctor said his time was short. Sarah entered the room quietly. For the first time in years, she sat beside him, not out of obligation, but from a place of newfound compassion. "Dad," she whispered, "I read your letters." Tears slipped from Jacob's closed eyes. He couldn't speak, but his hand reached for hers with surprising strength. She continued, "You didn't abandon me. You were there the whole time. I just couldn't see it." After Jacob's condition worsened, Uncle David came forward. He sat with Sarah in the hallway of the hospital, avoiding her gaze. "I need to tell you something," he began. 17 years ago, when your mother left, she didn't want to fight. She was scared. She felt she couldn't take care of you and asked Jacob to raise you." Sarah's eyes narrowed. "That doesn't explain why he never spoke a word." David swallowed hard. "Your mother made him promise not to tell you anything until you were ready. She feared you'd hate her if you knew she walked away willingly. Jacob agreed because he didn't want you to carry that burden. He gave up his voice to protect hers," she whispered. David nodded. "He chose your peace of mind over his own happiness." Jacob's condition worsened. Machines hummed quietly, a cruel contrast to the silence he had lived in. Sarah visited every day, now reading the letters aloud to him, her voice soft but clear. She talked about her childhood, the mistakes she made, the love she now saw. "I wish I had understood sooner," she said through tears. "You were the only one who stayed. You sacrificed everything. Your voice, your pride, even your relationship with me." She leaned closer and whispered, "It's okay now. You can let go. I forgive you. I love you." For the first time in 17 years, Jacob's lips parted. A sound came, hoarse, broken, barely above a whisper, but unmistakably a word. "Sarah." And then silence, eternal this time. The chapel was modest but full. Neighbors, co-workers, and even old friends came to say goodbye to the man who had lived quietly but left a loud legacy. Sarah stood before the crowd, holding the box of letters in her hand. "My father was silent for 17 years, she said, "but now I understand. He was louder than I ever realized." She shared his letters. Laughter and tears followed. He kept a promise out of love, a love that never asked for recognition, a love that was silent but constant. 1 year later, Sarah published a book titled The Silent Father. It became a bestseller, not because it was dramatic, but because it was true. Readers across the country wept as they read Jacob's letters. Fathers called their children. Children forgave their parents. Families mended. Sarah used the proceeds to start a foundation in Jacob's name for single parents raising children alone, silently, invisibly, lovingly. And every year on the day Jacob passed, Sarah returned to the attic. She opened one letter. She read it aloud. She smiled through her tears. Love, after all, never needed to be loud to be real. In a world that measures love by words and gifts, this father gave something far greater, 17 years of silence, so his daughter could smile one more day. Love doesn't always need to be heard. Sometimes, silence says it all.